On? Oh yeah, we're on. Huh? Welcome everybody to East County Voices. We're your hosts. We got Frank, we got Sarah, and Carlos. Welcome again, everybody, to the show. What do we got going on tonight, Frank?
Right on. Thanks for having us, Carlo.
Oh yeah.
Recently, Sarah and I took a trip to a little island off the coast of Panama on the Caribbean side, Caribbean Sea side, and it was a little island called Ustupu, which means Rabbit Island, as far as I remember. And it's part of a little chain of islands that are part of an island group called Cunayala, and
Wow.
we
Okay.
we were there to spend time with the Kuna people, and we were marking their 100-year anniversary of their revolution and of their I would say semi, but their independence from Panama.
It's the demarcation of their lands. So we can explain a little more what that means.
Yeah, I'm still a little confused myself. The demarcation of their lands, basically, when I was there, I felt like they kind of are really conjoined almost, even though they're on the island space, but they have their own autonomy. There's no Panamanian police or government on the islands. Anything else, honey?
Oh wow.
So they do call it the 100-year celebration of the demarcation of their lands. And I kept wondering, like, why say demarcation, right? And I think it took a little bit of a week of us being there to realize that it, and we'll learn a little bit more about the story, that what they fought for and won was almost full autonomy, and regardless, it's their lands and their islands and they can run them. What we learned later is it's probably a little bit more semi-autonomy, but still fantastic.
And I guess I'd like to first start off. Are we going to do it like we said with the flag and all that?
Sure. Oh, yes. So we are going, so this could be very triggering because, and I would think that, you know, there could be plenty of people who would watch this who have heard that either what we might know as the swastika, right? Either facing a certain direction, you know, facing east or west, is related to Nazis and genocide of the Jewish people. What happens is that symbol, unfortunately, was co-opted by the Nazis, and it existed prior to that. We're not historian scholars on that, you know, but we can definitely tell you that that's why you'll see it in some Indian stores, right, on some of the items there. Well, the Kuna's flag does have the swastika, if you will. Frank says it's transposed.
I think it's reverse of the Nazi one, but yes, it's still a 4 symbol one. Yeah.
And so that can be very triggering. And so when we did this, you know, we're not sending our photos and videos out to everyone because they definitely have that symbol on there. But if you can, bear with us because this is their symbol for the Kunayana people. And you'll see that they get to dress in their traditional clothing, eat traditional food.
Nice.
It's just their symbol. So we really appreciate that. So if you our other hosts see anybody in the audience, maybe you might even want to type that in there for us. We'll appreciate it.
All right. So Carlos, you could pull open that first picture that's kind of not the videos, but the one picture, and maybe we could try to explain it. So I know we can't zoom in on it, but if you could see over kind of on the left top corner, there's like a blank circle. Yeah. And then they kind of have like different circles that talk about the formation and how they came to their symbol of their kind of reverse swastika. And I think you wrote something down about it and what it meant.
Well, the main thing that we're seeing here is that a piece on the left was kind of cut off, and a lot of it is in a language I don't speak. In that very first frame where you see the third row, you know, one of those is west. The first one is west. The one in the middle is east, right? So they're speaking about a direction. You can start, and then they start to try to give some explanation that's really a little bit harder to understand. But what what they're connecting in a lot of this, it seems like, in what some of the narrations were, history that some of their leaders that they really look up to had written and that their families had seen written over time. And so we were hoping that we could get a real clear explanation of when and how they got the symbol, but it's very clear that it's dear to them and it is very symbolic.
Anyways, yeah, I was hoping we had a better translation on this, but it was in 2 languages. So they often speak their traditional language, Kuna, and it's combined with Spanish a lot. But yes, it talks about the 4 directions, and the center is some of their leaders and how they branched off. It's also very hard to see, but the kind of the image all the way up in the upper right-hand corner is kind of a human blending into a tree, and it talks about their connection to the earth. So anyways, we just kind of wanted to throw that out there because the symbol comes up a lot, as you can see right in the center in the yellow. Their colors are yellow and red, and during their ceremonies that we were part of, and why we were out there was we were honoring that 100-year commemoration. And if you think back, we're in 2025. So that was only 1925. And so it's not that long ago. So we were kind of hanging out with the kids, the grandkids, and the great grandchildren of the revolution. Okay. So let's go on to boat ride 1, Carlo, or Carlos, boat ride 2. Tone. So this is kind of part of our boat ride to the island. Anyways, yeah, that's part of it. Let's see which one. We just kind of want to give a little view of the boat ride. I think boat ride 3, Carlos, because this is a different part of the boat ride. That was like the open, entering a little calmer zone. I think these are the mangroves. This is getting closer to our destination. We were in the open ocean, and now we're kind of behind the island. No big waves or anything. And if you notice, no life jackets. It's kind of scary at some point, you know. But yeah, this is more the calmer waters. That's his 100 years of the revolution. All right, the last boat ride, Carlos, number 4. So this is kind of when we got to the island. You can see their flags. They're flying them big time for their 100 years of their anniversary. So that's kind of what it looks like when you're pulling up to the island. Very densely populated. Not a lot of actual land left.
Of the Cunayala Islands. You know, the people there are incredibly happy. I wish I'd taken photos of the children, but they were just so happy, as you would think you would be living on a beautiful island with lots of sun. Very hot though, very hot and humid, but we did it. It was nice. It's definitely, you know, there's no official running water there. They don't have the traditional type of sewage system that we know.
And then I'm going to try to open up some of these folders of the graffiti here. It's a little hard to open them. Let me see. Got to do them one at a time, I feel like, here.
Maybe you could select and do a bunch. Hi. We had been hoping that we could just share the screen for a bunch of photos for everyone. So just bear with us.
Yeah, and then you could just open them randomly, Carlos, and I'll just kind of tell you what they are. Okay, so I think this says never forget, or is that I think someone told me that they said this is in the Kuna language, never forget. And it's kind of hard to see, but the women there wear these beautiful beads on their wrist and their ankles. And when they were getting captured by the Panamanian police, they would forcibly cut their beads off with a knife. And so that's kind of what they're doing there in the image. And it says never forget. Okay, let's pick another random one there, Carlos. Okay, so it's hard to zoom in on this, but I heard that the woman on the right was a Palestinian. That could be a keffiyeh on her head. I did see some other references to Palestine while I was there, but this is just some more of the graffiti, and it's hard because we can't zoom in. But I was hoping we could say what it said right there.
I have a question. Would I be able to upload photos while you're talking?
No.
Oh.
Anyways, let's see. Can we see what it says
Also,
there?
I just want to say welcome, Sevgi. You missed our disclaimer, maybe, that we went to the Kuna Yala Islands. Their symbol can be very stark and triggering. It is not, as you probably know, right? The Nazis co-opted the swastika symbol from other cultures, and they have a transposed version of one. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Anyways, yeah, go ahead and click on another one, Carlos. So this is some more of the graffiti. I just tell you the truth, everywhere we went, there was graffiti on every wall. There was banners out front of people's houses of their relatives that fought in the revolution. And can you read that one in Spanish?
Mhm.
What's that one say?
There's no patriotism, is what I'm saying, without blood. If anybody else has another word for the word patria, I'm guessing that there's, to be a patriot, there must shed blood. And we'll learn more about that bloody revolution.
Yeah, so basically they did have to fight a revolution in 1925, and the kids were basically like
the youth.
Yeah, 13 to 20 were the ones that basically fought in the revolution. And just to give you kind of a thumbnail of what we're going to see, hopefully if we don't run out of time in some of our other videos, is that while we were there, they did 3 days, or I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 now, of reenactments of their revolution for the kids. And I'll get to that in a moment, but that's kind of why we were there. And everything, like I said, was covered in the graffiti of their revolution and how they gained their autonomy from the Panamanian government and the Panamanian police. They could have became like the Philippines or Hawaii or Puerto Rico and be controlled by the U.S. because the Panama Canal and all that stuff was, around that time, a little earlier, but their revolution and they fought and their history that they just described in their daily plays that they did in the community center started way before 1925, back in the time of the canal being built and all that. Let me remove these from the studio, Carlos, and we'll get some new ones in there. So yeah, again, that's kind of why we're there. And I think that was one of the coolest parts. You mind if we move to that part now about the daily plays?
Let's show them some of these can be triggering as well, because they're really depicting very detailed history and violence that happened to their people. You'll see kids dressed as Panamanian police, and you'll see the people dressed as the revolutionary leaders, the women are not in rehearsal attire or some sort of attire. This is their traditional dress that they wear all the time.
Before we get to that one, I got one of some of their traditional dancing, what they did, Carlos. If you want to play that one in the town square tonight. So this is kind of their town square where they did all their reenactments and all their community activity. And they're basically blowing like a pan flute out of bamboo. And the women have horns.
are these really beautifully, intricately embroidered squares that they knit themselves.
We have a couple. Maybe we can grab them in a little bit. So before you play this next one, Carlos, this is one that's a little bit triggering. And if you could, when you see this next one, you'll see I'm up on the stage now looking out at the crowd to kind of get a view of what's happening to the people in the play. And over the course of the days, they talked about, what they would do in their Congress, or they called their Congreso, where they would have like a city council meeting to talk about what they were going to do, and how the Panamanian police interrupted their Congress and threatened them and their livelihoods. And as the play went on and they had different scenes in the play, this next one, Carlos, that you could play, showed what they would do to the people when they would catch them.
¿Acaso uno aprende los secretos de la culebra para ser culebra, sino para dominarla? Si no aprendemos nada de los wagas, no podemos comprenderlo y enfrentar a ellos. Nele Cancún.
I just quoted Nelly Cancún, one of the main leaders, speaking of, kind of like you catch a culebra, you catch a snake, kill one and then defeat them. If you don't know anything about them, you can't get information, you can't confront them.
And if you notice in the background, all the community is out to watch what their family went through. And they would beat the men and then drag them off to the side after they killed them.
Todos los pueblos del mundo tienen sus historias de sus luchas por su libertad y justicia. Nuestra Cunayala es un ejemplo. Jamás nuestros líderes fueron instigados por foráneos.
And I got one more of those. Let's see. Which one is
Nuestros
that?
líderes se adiestraron, estudiaron, entrenaron de acuerdo a sus filosofías.
All right, Carlos, let's so before we get into this next one, do you want to kind of describe the one about the medicine and how they fought for their villagers and they fought for their family with traditional medicine and made them strong?
Go ahead and play it.
Do you want to say it first? That's what I'm
No, go
asking.
ahead.
Oh, okay. We'll tell you after. But this is when they tried to catch a guy that was taking the traditional medicine.
Aplauso a nuestros actores que estamos presentando esta escena. En nuestros tiempos de nuestros abuelos eran fuertes porque tomaban medicinas tradicionales que
He's
nos
saying
hacían más
that
fuertes.
people
Ahora
and their ancestors were strong because they took and they ingested and they had their traditional medicines.
Lo amenazó con su machete y no quiso ir al monte. Este indio que amenazó a mi comunidad. Sí, señor.
See, I'm also wearing traditional necklaces.
Anyway, I'll pause it there, and you could see again. If I could roll back a little bit here, you could kind of see when they're describing all that's happening, the whole community, the kids, the great grandkids, in the background there that you could see are all learning what their people just went through back in the early 1900s. And so again, these kids and these people in the background are actually like the grandkids and the great grandkids of the people that this happened to. So they do this every year. This was a big one because it was the 100-year anniversary. So it's a little bit more grand, I suppose. That's why we were there, I guess. But anyways, it happens every year, and they kind of show to their kids, you know, what their family went through. And let me get ready to open a couple more, but go ahead, and you want to talk a little bit more about it, honey?
Let's see. So we did, we were invited actually. Frank's longtime mentor has traveled all over the world in some incredible perilous times, and that's a story for another day. And we were invited to this island. You know, it's not a tourist island. And we had homemade meals every day. And the people, as I mentioned, were just phenomenal. It was a little frightening at first because we had to go on some tiny little boats and some tiny little airplane rides. What do you want to do next? Do you want to do the Sweetwater or?
I kind of want to wrap up the like the revolutionary stuff that they did. So as I said, they went on for kind of 4 days, and you can see that they reenacted their people being tortured. They also reenacted like their Congress. Like I said, they went back to 1910 or 1905 and moved up to 1925 when the revolution happened, and kind of what happened with the Panamanian police throughout that time. But Carlos, if you go to, I believe it's the one that ends in 909, and before you play it, this is the last day, and the one I'll show after this is the culmination, and how it ended and how they got their autonomy is the Panamanian police were coming to attack them on a certain day, and the people were ready, and they defeated the police, and they basically, as they approached their island, they shot them down in their canoes and killed them in the water and dragged their bodies on shore. And then some of the accounts I read online were like they sent them back to Panama in pieces, and that's just what some of the stuff I read. But so on the last day, you want to add to that? But
Well, just to be clear, yeah, the Kuna had to fight a bloody fight in order to keep their autonomy. So they weren't playing nice. They were something that one of our hosts had said was the Panamanian police had just been encroaching because there are so many islands, and they've just been encroaching. And so the Kuna people were just ready with small boats, sending out the youth, doing reconnaissance at night. And so when this fight came to be, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah. And kind of the ones I showed you where they were pulling those guys up to the stage and like killing them and beating them. I didn't show like 4 or 5 other ones that they showed when people were out there collecting their herbs and plants, and the police accosted them and knocked their plants off. Or when they had they were having their Congress, and the police broke in and took all their women and started making them dance and tore off their clothes. They reenacted all this, and these were the kind of the last videos. My phone was actually acting up. I couldn't record a lot. But if you go to the one that ends in 909, this is kind of when the children reenacted going to fight the police. And some of them look really young, and that's they tell us that's how it was, that the kids had to help fight.
Set up a station
We could stop that one there. That was kind of that was the tail end of like the huge parade of the community that already had led through the streets, and the kids fighting the revolution kind of came in at the end. And then let's see, if you want to play this last one, Carlos, before you do though, this was kind of all I can get because my phone, like I said, was dying. And it was their last battle when they were fighting the Panamanian police in the water and kind of like pulling their bodies out of the water when they were after they killed them.
Triggering potentially.
Yeah, go ahead and show that last one, Carlos. All right, that's it for that one. And anyways, that was kind of the culmination of, we were there for, I think, 7 days, about 2 days after the celebration. And on that day, it kind of wound up with their, they call it a chicha ceremony, where they have fermented corn into wine, and they party all day till they can't even walk. Literally, their kids are carrying them home like they can't even stand up. And I'll pull up some pictures if Sarah wants to talk more about it, but that was kind of the culmination of their reenactment of their battle when they had that big battle with the police in the water right there. Go ahead, honey.
There was a particular, so on one of the days of the celebrations, our host would take us out. You can do the picture of the food. Our host was taking us out to visit different homes. And one of the places that we went to where you would see there was this hole in the ground, and they would call it agua dulce. And the people there were actually relatives of Nelly Cantule, who is really like one of the main leaders that they remember. If you could play that, either, I guess both those photos when you get a chance, called Sweetwater. And so this was indicative of a place where fresh water used to run back in the day. It doesn't run through there anymore. If you play the second one, the house we were at were relatives of Nelly Cantule, and they were welcoming us to this house. And they were very proud to tell us that this was Nelly Cantule's house where he used to live, and these are his relatives. And it reminds me also of, there was another house that we went to where they actually gave us this like porridge, if you will, if you could open that one. And another house where they gave us this chocolate. So the picture right here is this house, and they actually had a place where they had spring water coming through in this house, and they were making this porridge. Now I'll describe it. A hot, kind of like a rice porridge, but it have like a smoky fish flavor. There was really small little fish in it. And then these right here are bottles that they make their own varieties of like lemon or lime juice that you put in it with a variety of spices and chili. And this is, so of course, you know, I ate. And if you could show the next photo, there was one photo where they made one of the most delicious chocolate. This is already like the tail end of it. But as we went, in that house with the chocolate, there was that, go ahead, the medic lived there.
I'd just like to add that the reason we were out is because what they would do in their ceremony, not ceremonies, but as they celebrated and honored their revolution, they would, you would be escorted to different houses to eat on that day. And that day that they made that porridge, you could just travel from house to house, and all these different houses had huge tables set up for people, especially there was like 50 or 75 international guests, and they were feeding us their foods. And it was pretty awesome, you know, and
you can go to a next photo anytime. Go on.
Let's see. I can't see what it is, honey, if you move that.
This is the
So these guys were relatives of Nelly Cantule, which was one of the main leaders of the revolution. And at the beginning, when we were showing the symbol of their flag and why they had it, it was posted on his wall, just like if they were looking at the wall in front of them. It was on that wall right behind where I'm taking the picture of. So they have like a long history of being connected to the revolution. And in fact, out front of their house was a big poster of Nelly Cantule outside their house.
This is actually the grandmother of one of our hosts as well. So we stayed with Puksu, and his 2 children are Kuna and Hafsami, the reindeer people. And so these are their relatives. Next photo. And so this is our host's daughter, Nishkwa, and her partner. And there was this pretty cool mural that was out there, and it had resistance, and we can send it to any of you. It's just really amazing.
Actually, Patty, you would be amazed at this. This whole banner is artwork of revolutionaries, corporations, the World Trade Organization, lots of rats they put in there as people. So yeah, it was an amazing, huge banner with different parts of like how people fought around the Americas, you know, the South Central America, and how they fought like the capitalist system and the corporations, and, you know, like banana republics and all that stuff that was brought upon them by like U.S. interests.
And you can cycle through the next photos. This is the host house. This is where we ate our meals every single day. Next photo. Oh no, next photo.
Hey, no,
Next photo.
that's me outside the house. And yeah, that's the house we stayed at every day to
Next photo. I didn't mean to send that one of him looking full.
Hey.
I love it. He's gonna kill me. This is a night shot I thought would be kind of cool. And then next photo. This, see that? I zoomed in 100 times from where our room was, and this is where we slept at night. Basically, crossing over from the right to the left, you'd be going from Colombia to Panama. So while we were there, some really triggering thing happened where a migrant was found deceased on another island, and the Panamanian police brought the body to the island we were on. And it was interesting reading the news on our phone, even with the Wi-Fi acting up, and how the misinformation was being spread. But that was real life information for our brains and our hearts and our souls, because it was a boat that was leaving Karti, and Kuna were driving the boat, and we're taking people back because people had crossed the Darien Gap perhaps and knew Trump wasn't going to accept them. So the Kuna were taking them back. And story is they might have left a little later than they should have, and the boat capsized and that person's body washed up on shore. So,
but 4 people reportedly died on that day.
yeah.
And I think we better wrap it up there, but we do have like so many other pictures. Other things I could tell you, like a punk rock Kuna band
Oh my gosh,
came
play
out.
that in closing a little bit.
I didn't save them in the right spot, so I don't have them. But yeah, there was like a punk rock Kuna band that played, and there was all kinds of other cool stuff that I could share with you that I just don't have, and they're not.
Any questions?
Yeah, anybody want to ask us any questions? It's not in the.
Carlos has a hand raised.
Put Nicole to sleep.
How long was the boat ride to get to the island on that little boat? And was it
Good
choppy?
question. They told us it was only a little bit.
It was about 45 minutes. It was a little scary in the open ocean as the waves got big, and you know, we're kind of blowing over to the bow a little bit. You're getting wet here and there, and I don't know. On the way back, it was a little bit faster. They had a more powerful boat. Yeah, I thought I did see some of those, but maybe I didn't. Let me see. I'll try to find one. Let me see. Let me do it.
Any other questions?
Gosh, what a journey. I'm so I learned a lot. But a lot of it's like with their artwork, and they're continuing to tell a story. So like they never forget it. That's just so deep, like for it to be handed down, but it has to be. Just like out here, like our history is pretty dark. And then there's people that are actively trying to like delete history. Like that's just no, like we need to preserve all the happenings that happened and address it, never forget it. So
Carlos, before we go, I'll show a little bit of that video there. This is the punk rock band that came out, and then we'll end on this because I know Sevgi's here.
It was punk rock night in Kunayala. It was.
And I'll move up here to
punk rock.
yeah, there was
Stop.
like it was a pretty cool that's about a 14-minute video, and I got a few of their songs, and I'm gonna be working with the band. I recorded their band, and yeah, it was just kind of cool to see the punk rock band came out, and
Good job.
the band stayed out late. I was the latest night. They told me don't walk home by yourself on the island, so I had to. They stayed up late and waited for me, and then they walked me to my house
Wait,
afterwards.
Shout out to that little boy who would show up.
William.
William. He would like show up and walked one of like our other guests home in the middle of the night. They're like, all of a sudden, he's like, I remember being told, and I was drunk, and all of a sudden, William shows up and walks him home. William, we love you. We're going to come back for you.
Anyway, so I thought I'd enter that little punk rock band, but so the Kuna people have a punk rock band. They were called La Tribe, the Tribe. I looked for them on YouTube. I couldn't really find them, so I'm going to edit my videos eventually here. And I wish I could share more with you maybe next time, but you'll see them again soon. But yeah, that was part of our trip to the to Kunayala, to the island of Ustupu, which means Rabbit Island. Ustu is rabbit, and Tupu is island. And
I'm going to look that up.
it was
I have a question. I have a question.
Go for it.
Well, why could you not walk home alone at night?
It was just, I think it was our host would just tell us not to, because it was habitual for him or his partner, because we were staying at the most, when I sent you that photo of zoomed in of that ship, I wasn't that comfortable at night sleeping. We were on the tippest point of the island. We had to walk kind of a distance to where we were staying. If anybody rolled up on that shore, no one really would know except for our host and the church next door. And so it was technically Obupskukun, something like that is technically also on the island, and people would be drinking for the festivities. It was more about the fact that he said, when you're here, always walk with a kuna. And so we wanted to respect that.
Yeah, and the far end of the island that we were at was called a different neighborhood from the island. We were hanging out in that beautiful house that we showed you.
Yeah.
We were living in a whole different area of the island, and
Beautiful.
beautiful.
End of the world seems like.
But like young men would be out there like in
Yeah.
groups drinking at night, and they were like touching my shirt, and we were taking a long time at a
It's
store,
curious,
and they were
but
yeah, and it was a little scary. I don't speak Kuna. A lot of them don't speak Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish either. So it was a hard time to communicate. And but when we were there with our crew, we were communicating and translating, and it was I'll never forget the experience. I'll tell you, to go to those islands for that anniversary, and
That's
they
great.
do it every year.
thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome, Sevgi.
Hi, thank you. I just want to say it's just amazing to see these pictures and hear these stories. And I want to thank you for doing this, because, we look at this country right now and how they're doing all they can to erase history of Black and brown people. Carrying on these stories and sharing them with us here is so vital and important. It was really great to watch. So thank you guys.
Yeah, definitely. And we can share more with you all personally in other times, but we're so glad Sevgi's here. Speaking of history, because I feel like Sevgi's help us make history. If you don't know Sevgi, she's part of, or the founder of, Together We Stand. and she's been helping organizers and activists around the community, especially in Richmond, where she's at, out in that area. But many of you will know, especially in this group right here, that she's been out to Antioch to help us. She was recently in Concord for the April 19th protest, doing security for the protest and rally and march there. And we just thought we'd bring Sebgi on to check in and see how things are going, and just to kind of share, what's in our future, what are we doing. So again, welcome, Sebgi, and thanks for being part of our community in Contra Costa, I would say, since we're all part of the county.
Well, thank you for that, Frank. Hi everyone. Really glad to be here. There's a lot going on. We have been helping and working with a lot of groups to try to get Know Your Rights information out there. We've been having ICE raids across the Bay Area since Trump's taken office quite a bit. It's very, very frightening. So we're really working on making sure that we're disseminating all the information we can to the community to make sure that folks know where they can get the information they need if ICE shows up, and I have so many close people to me that, are really frightened at this time, because you could just have a loved one up and disappear at any moment. And that's just beyond unsettling. I mean, how do you live with that? We're living in some pretty crazy, unprecedented times, and I was speaking with my dad the other day. He was a Black Panther, and the stuff that they went back through, and to see where we are right now, he's dismayed, and I think right now more than ever, we have to really focus on how we come together as one community, because this system and this government is working as hard as possible to take away every right that we have, and there's no accountability, there's no due diligence, there's no justice. And for folks who've been, we work and advocate for victims of police brutality and their families, and I know all y'all on this panel know, the fight prior to this administration being in office, and even to be able to get to court for most of these families is almost an impossibility. And now, we have an administration and a government where they're emboldening not only corrupt law enforcement, but there has been, and we cannot forget, they might have gotten quiet for a while, but there's a huge percentage of this country that are deeply racist, deeply hateful, and deeply dangerous. And so it's really that I think my biggest goal right now is how we unite together as much as possible, because we keep us safe. That's it. We keep us safe. And we've seen a lot of really consistent actions taking place in Contra Costa County and in Alameda County, across the country, against Tesla. And my organization has been out there helping with security and things of that nature. And I have a lot of respect for the folks that are putting these things together. And one thing that I'm raising with the groups that are in Contra Costa County right now is that when you go to these rallies, they are predominantly white. And they are not a place where people of color feel safe. And I think there is some resentment because, when George Floyd died, we had millions and millions of people all over the country out, and then where'd they go? right? It's about being consistently there. And if you're really an ally, showing up consistently, not just when it affects you personally, right? And I think, so those are some difficult conversations that need to be had, but conversations that I'm working on having. And I want to do that now, because the momentum that we're seeing, we need to have when our people are killed, right? We need to have when we have corrupt officers calling us monkeys and talking about, you know, how they beat us and laughing about it. We need to have these folks showing up in their numbers week after week after week like they are now for us. That's where we're going to feel like we actually have true allyship, and it's meaningful, and that's when we're going to feel like we have trust. I think it's really important. You know, there's a lot of brothers and sisters that do not want to go out because they didn't see them coming out for us and don't feel safe there. And then, you know, we have a lot of folks that are facing, you know, immigration issues who would love to come out but don't, because they don't feel safe and protected. So, you know, those are some main topics and things that we're working to address right now in Contra Costa County, and you know, continuing to bring cultural events to the county. I want to just give a shout out to my girl Latanya, who is phenomenal and putting on Juneteenth in Concord this year on the 22nd. 12 to 5. We're doing our third annual Juneteenth in Martinez on the same day, but just from 11 to 2. So we're hoping folks can get out and support both. But I mean, we're having these celebrations and educational experiences that are really profound in a county that for many, 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 many years was not a safe place for people of color, and still is not in a lot of aspects. And so, you know, I encourage folks that are listening to this to look up these events. And you know, we just had Cinco de Mayo come up, and you know, there's Pride coming up and things of this nature. It's important for us to show up as a community, to get folks out there that wouldn't normally come out, so they can learn the history, so they can learn the struggle, and so they can learn the celebration, right? And I think dialogue, education, all of that is how we grow. That's how we take on this system that has been in place to oppress us, you know, since the, you know, colonizers came here. And, you know, they're in full force. They're in full force in our educational system, in our law enforcement system. I mean, who knows what we're facing as far as, you know, potential martial law, given this fool in office, you know, the opportunity to just utilize the military as he wishes against the people in this country. I mean, we're facing some really dire times right now. And, you know, my message to everyone is like, just try to start really connecting with the other people and organizations in your community and surrounding communities, and how can y'all support each other? How can we support each other? Have those difficult conversations about, you know, how do we make sure everybody feels safe showing up, right? Yeah, I'm just running, but those are my thoughts, and that's where I'm at right now. And you know, that's what Together We Stand is working on. We've been really trying to develop youth leaders, especially over this last year, and we're working on a youth social justice and arts program that we're hoping to launch in hopefully East Contra Costa County first, where we're going to teach, have like 8-week cohorts where we teach young Black and brown youth how to organize on a grassroots level and how to utilize art and music to get their message across and to culminate in community events. So I think, you know, our youth are our future, right? And we need to arm them with the education, not just of what's going on right now, but their history and how do they uh, take their amazing minds and dream and grow and push and affect change. So yeah, that's where we're coming from and what we're working on. And yeah, and we're happy we're coming out to Antioch again pretty soon. There, I'm sure y'all are going to be talking about it. But yeah, that I appreciate the time getting to just share, you know, my thoughts and what we're working on here. And y'all have any questions for me?
Well, I could say that all that fighting that we've done, and after the George Floyd and all the work we've done here in Antioch, we could see in some of the news today that 3 or 4 of the officers that brutally beat and killed Tyree Nichols were acquitted of murder charges. And as you mentioned earlier, Sebgi, that the Trump administration is rolling back protections that we, the people, have got in place from the police. So dissent decrees and other stuff, he's looking to try to roll those back of the more recent ones. We're hoping to hang on to ours in Antioch, but he's cutting the funding to a lot of these places. And when he tries to roll back these dissent decrees, we'll have to see what happens in local communities, whether the DOJ continues their work with us. We've all been meeting with the DOJ, and if we'll see if that continues to happen. And as I mentioned just a moment ago about the 3 officers that got acquitted today, you know, what is it going to take when they basically beat that young man to death, and they have a lot of it on video where he's dying in front of them. They're not doing anything. And it was, if I understand it, an all-white jury had relieved these 3 young Black officers of killing another Black man in custody. So we're still in the same place we've been, it seems like, and not a lot has changed. And you mentioned that you're going to be doing a Juneteenth this year. And what other events you got us? Remind us about your Juneteenth date and any other events you got coming up.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, so our Juneteenth is in Martinez. It's from 11 to 2 at the Main Street Plaza. We're going to have some really amazing speakers and young youth poets out from the Pittsburgh area, so East County. We're really excited about that. Some great Black-owned vendors. It's really exciting. I'll just say this though. You know, we've been doing this for 3 years, and within 20 minutes of us posting the Save the Date flyer, we had threats coming in, folks coming, you know, we're going to come down there, we're coming to cause trouble, you know, the death threats coming towards me, which I'm used to. It's, you know, just part of the work that we do. But I mean, it's definitely a different atmosphere this year than it was the last 2. And that's sad. That's sad. But they're not going to stop anything. And you know, we do our due diligence to make sure people are safe and we've got security there. And you know, this is something that we want families to feel safe to come to. And we have amazing children's activities for them to learn about Juneteenth and crafts and really amazing performances. And so I just encourage folks to come out, and, you know, if you see somebody saying something crazy or acting crazy, you know, just don't be silent. Don't be silent. You know, it's time for us to really speak up. We can't let these folks that feel so emboldened, especially under this administration, to feel like they have power over anything that we're doing. And the way that we take that power away is to keep doing what we're doing, and to say something. If they have something to say, well, I got something to say back to you, and I'm gonna educate you, And if you're too stupid to take that in, then too bad. But, you know, you're not stopping our movement, you know?
And also, I know we're kind of moving into June with Juneteenth. But Sevgi, you're also working with a friend of mine, Lee Ballesteros, and some other folks on Flag Day. Carlos, I put it in the little share screen. If you could bring that up, talk about what you're doing to help with the Flag Day protest in Antioch coming up.
Yeah, well, so our organization, oh, sorry if I disappeared for a second. We're coming out. We've been providing security for marches and protests and events for the past 5 or 6 years, and we're going to be doing that for this event as well. You know, it's really something that I feel passionate about, you know, being the daughter of a Black Panther. My dad used to literally stand in front of homes that were, when they were desegregating areas, and they were getting their houses firebombed and crosses burned on their lawns. And he told me, and he taught he has 4 daughters, and he taught us, you know, you got to be ready to put your life on the line. And every time that we do one of these events, I take every single person's life that is there on my shoulders. You know, I feel very passionately that I have to do everything that I can to ensure the safety so that we can continue to come out and to speak out and to do these types of events, because they do make a huge difference. I mean, the changes that Antioch has seen because of all the times that y'all have been out there, time after time after time, relentlessly taking on the system that desperately needed change. I mean, it matters. And so, you know, we're really excited to support this amazing event. You know, and it's really, I think, about bringing folks together from all these marginalized communities, and, you know, not just here in the United States, but across the world, where we're seeing fascism and racism really try to take hold. So I'm really honored to be a part of this, and excited to see all y'all again. Some of you I haven't seen in a while, and I think it's going to be a beautiful day.
Yeah, and just to throw it out there, it's going to be Flag Day, and that is June 14th. And they're going to meet at the old Regal Cinema, 4250 Lone Tree Way. And they're going to march down to my favorite park, Williamson's Ranch Park. And we will hopefully be bringing Lee B onto the show in a week or two, to get us up to date on the Flag Day event, which Sevgi will be a part of. Well, Sevgi, I think we want to do a couple community announcements before we get off the air. But again, a big shout out to Sev, Together We Stand. Real quick, tell folks how they could follow the work that you do, your social media, and, you know, where they can keep tabs on work that Together We Stand does.
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is twsrevolution.org. And you can find us on Facebook at TWS Revolution, and same on Instagram. So you follow us, all our work and our events, and the events that we also help to uplift are always posted there. So yeah, thank you, Frank.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sevgi, for being here for us in Antioch and organizing out where you're at, and just, you know, all around work that you do. We appreciate you.
Hey, all power to the people.
And you're welcome to hang around. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, we want to announce some events that are happening with, do I want to throw it over to Nicole right now? Do you want to throw out your event? Yeah.
And I think I might have the flyer that I can post in a moment
Yes,
as
please.
well.
Thank you. So Rachel Jeffries has twins that attend KinderCare in Pittsburgh, California, and Lydia Robles has been abusing children at the KinderCare in Antioch. It's where she started, at both locations. And instead of them getting rid of her, they sent her here to Pittsburgh, where she's still abusing children. And since these babies are 5 and can speak, unlike some of the other babies that have been harmed, now it's out there in the open. And we went to city council on Monday, so now everyone's aware. The press came out, so it's on the news at this point. I did do my follow-up check-in. I called corporate today, spoke with someone in corporate. They claimed they didn't know, so I filled them in on what's been happening so they can do their due diligence. Called the KinderCare again. I had been speaking with the assistant director, but this time the director, Paula Zimmerman, answered, and she just basically blew me off like, oh, well, I can't talk about anything personal. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about anything personal. I want to know, why are you still investigating someone that you know for years has been abusing babies? How much investigation does it take for you to be done with this person? So she just stuck to she can't, speak on anything personal, and said thank you and then hung up on me. So she needs to lose her job too, along with everyone else who was abusing the babies and everyone else that was complicit about these babies being abused, because we do not accept it. There will be a huge protest on Friday from 8 to 12, right there on the corner of East Leland and Railroad Avenue. So everyone come out. Press will be there. We'll all be there. Patty will be with us in
Can
spirit.
you put the flyer up, Carlos?
Can you put the flyer back up one more time? So we're calling for everyone, Antioch, Pittsburgh, doesn't matter, from everywhere. Come out to, support the baby.
And Miss Nicole, can I just say that if you want to get my personal contact information from Frank, we've done work on this sort of thing across the country, and I'm happy to get my organization on these folks and all the different avenues that we need to.
Absolutely.
Just hit me up tomorrow. It'll be done.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate you. Thank you. I'll
Absolutely.
send you a request on Facebook too.
Okay. All right. I'll look for it.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to say thank you very much, Nicole, for this. I know that you're mentioning a specific person, and I would say that everyone's technically, I guess, innocent until guilty in a court of law. But I think that you could always reach out to us if you're looking for receipts of this information. But I mean, I don't know this person personally. I don't know what they have or haven't done. I would say that it's important for people who want more information to speak to Nicole about the issue, plus the protests in and of itself. You'll meet more people out there, moms and people who care, who've probably been working on the issue as well. I'm not familiar with it all.
Yes, and there's a lot of other mothers who came forward, and they came to city council as well. So it's a lot of babies. It's a lot of moms. It's been a lot of things. Some of the babies are disabled. It's been a lot. And it's not acceptable.
This is so traumatizing. But I'm just trying to think of on the thank you to the advocates. Thank you for speaking up, to our people out there. It's your right to protest. You can protest by wearing a shirt, by boycotting, by being loud if you want to, because this is what we do. We talk and we let it out. So we don't allow this to happen. All of these injustices, if we don't speak up, it's just business as usual.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Subgi, for being amazing, and Frank and Sarah, Nicole, Carlos.
Thank you so much.
Let's keep raising up.
Appreciate y'all putting on this forum for us to come out and talk. I mean, it's really important, and
We have to.
Takes a lot of energy on your part, I'm sure. So thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your hard work, everyone. And Nicole, be safe out there. I'll probably see you out there.
Thank you. Will you bring the bullhorn if you guys come?
That's right, megaphone. You got it.
Thank you, please. The babies are all excited. They were making posters today. They're so invested in this. They are so disgusted. They're absolutely disgusted with KinderCare.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So yeah.
Mhm. Thank you for hosting, Frank.
Yes.
Sarah, too.
You guys will be
Yeah.
proud of our babies. We've made revolutionaries out here.
And thanks
That's
to all our
right.
listeners
That's
and
right. I love
watchers.
that.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right,
Carlos, thank you. Oh, we have the same Carlos. Holding it down.
Carlos,
Jinx,
take
you
us
owe
home.
her a Coke.
Holding it down.
All right.
Thanks so much for your help and for all of that.
Yeah, thank you all for being on the show. You know, this is a community effort here, you know. So, and thank you all for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe. That helps support us, you know, and sends the word out more on YouTube, you know, that so other people can see what we're doing or what's happening over here in our part, you know, in our area. So with that, we're live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, tell a friend, and we'll see you guys next time. And thank you all again for being on the show.
Nice.
All right. Take care, everyone.